Hi there everybody. So this is the Spring Meadow baby blanket and I will be showing you step by step how to do this in this video tutorial. I also have the written pattern available and this will be a download from my website, which of course will all be linked below. And what I'm going to do this time is actually work through the pattern at the same time as the video. So for anyone who's not great with pattern reading, this is a really good beginner pattern for you to get started with. So all of this is done using the Baby Blossom chunky yarns, and all of these have been purchased from Snuffle Bean Yarn, and I have used one ball of each of the following colours. So we've got Baby Bouquet, which is the pink, we then have got Picnic, which is the green, Bluebell, Pretty Primrose, and finally Little Lavender. We then have Border Rose, which have been done in white, and then we finished off with 2 rounds done in the shade Buttercup. So the white is just a Scheepjes Chunky Monkey, and then we go back to the Hayfield Baby Blossom Chunky for the final 2 rounds in shade Buttercup. So we'll crack on. I'm using a 6mm hook for the whole blanket, and your finished blanket, if using the pattern, should be approximately 32 by 34 inches. So it's a really thick, warm, cozy baby blanket. It's actually one of my favourite ones that I've made. Okay, so just have a little close up there of some of these beautiful stitches. It's a very even, simple, straightforward pattern using the moss stitch for the whole of the body and also the border, and then we finish with a modified crab stitch for the end. So when you're looking at the pattern, obviously it starts off with some important information so that it says it is written in UK terminology, so just bear that in mind. It gives you the list of all of the yarns that you will need and where I bought them from. The hook size that you will need for this yarn is a 6mm, and as I say, your finished blanket will measure about 32 by 34 inches, and you'll also need some scissors, etc. So hints and tips, I've said if you're not following of the size of the blanket or yarn usage, then you can make your baby blanket any size by doing a foundation chain in any even number. So obviously for this exact pattern I've got a set number of chains that we're going to do, but if you want it to be bigger or smaller, just do any even number. I've then done the yarn order in what I've used it. So I've listed all of the yarns there, and then we are on to the pattern itself. So your first step is to chain 130 with your 6mm hook and your Baby Blossom Chunky. So 130 or any even number if you want it to be a different size. Now obviously I'm not going to be doing a whole new blanket, so I'm not going to be chaining 130, but I will just chain enough to be able to work up a decent sample piece with you. So we're starting with your slip knot on your hook, and you're going to chain 130. I'm just going to do a smaller chain of probably 20. So yarn over and pull through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you just continue, complete your foundation chain, and then I will meet you back. Okay, so I've got my foundation row chain, completed here. I'm going to bring the pattern back. So we've done our chain. We're then going to work 1 double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So remember, UK terms, so when I'm saying double crochet, in the US this is your single crochet. So 1 double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So you never count the loop that's on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll insert your hook, yarn over and pull up. So you've got 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. The next step in the pattern is chain 1, skip 1 chain, and then double crochet into the next stitch. So chain 1, skip one chain on your foundation chain and double crochet into the next. So yarn over and pull up, and then again yarn over and pull through both. And then when we look at the pattern, that chain one, skip one chain, double crochet into the next is in between your little asterisks. So then it says repeat that step. So you can see it says repeat asterisk to asterisk until the end of your foundation chain, ending with one double crochet into your last chain. So you will chain one, skip one, double crochet into the next. So if you carry that on now, and I will meet you once you have done your last chain in your, I will meet you once you've done your last double crochet into your very last chain. Okay, so I've done my chain one and I'm ready to do my final double crochet into that very last stitch. So that is how you should be looking at the moment. So that is your foundation row worked. Oops, sorry, just kicked the camera. And we're now going to work on row one. So you can see we've got 4 steps here to row one. So we're going to chain 2 and turn. So chain 2 and turn your work. And then we're going to, it says skip the double crochet at the base of your chain and work 1 double crochet into the chain 1 space. So that means we've got that double crochet here at the base of where we've just come up from. You've got that double crochet. I apologise for that crying. The little girl next door's outside and she's just fallen over. And we're going to work 1 double crochet straight into this chain 1 space just here. So straight into that chain 1 space, work your double crochet. What you might want to do at this point is pop a little stitch marker into your chain 2 that you did just as you turned your work. You go into chain 1, skip that double crochet from the previous row and do your next double crochet in that chain 1 space, and that's exactly what the pattern says here on row 1, because we're back to the little asterisks now of chain 1, skip, double crochet and double crochet into the chain 1 space. And then at the very end it says to skip the last double crochet and work a double crochet into the chain 4 space from the foundation row. So you're going to repeat your chain 1, double crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, double crochet in the chain 1 space all the way along, and I will meet you as you get back towards the end. But I'm just going to stick here because obviously I've only got a couple more to do. So as you get to the end, you will have your chain 1 space, which you'll work your double, you'll chain 1, skip that final double crochet which is here, and then you've got that chain 4 that we skipped at the beginning of our foundation row. And we're not going to work through the sides or the tops of any stitches or anything. You're literally going to go straight into that space. So insert your hook into the space and finish with your double crochet. So row 2 now is the one that we're going to repeat over and over again. So row 2 says to start with your chain 2 and turn. And exactly like the last row, you're not going to work into the top of this double crochet at the base of your stitch. You're going straight into the chain 1 space just next to it. So chain 2, turn, double crochet in the chain 1 space. Again, pop a stitch marker into your chain 2 if you wish, and then you'll chain 1 and skip the next double crochet and work your double into the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip and work in the chain space. And again, you're going to do that all the way along till the end of your row. So like I say, it is an incredibly simple pattern, and obviously the stitch itself isn't a pattern, it is just the moss stitch. The pattern is written purely for yarn and sizes, etc. The stitch itself is just the beautiful moss stitch. So again, once you're coming towards the end of your row, you're going to work your double crochet. You're going to chain one to skip that last double crochet, which is here, and then you've got that chain two that you did at the beginning of the last round. And again, we're not going to look for the top or the side of the stitch. We're going straight into the space that that chain two created, and you're going to work your final double crochet. So that is it for this part. So that is your repeat row, and then I'm just going to go back to the pattern for you to see. And it says here now, repeat row 2 until you have done 26 rows, including your foundation row. So you're going to include that very first one. You're not going to include the chain, obviously, but you're going to include that very first row where we worked into those chain stitches. So here now we've got 1, 2 and 3 rows. If you want to mark your rows with stitch markers as you go, that's a very good idea, because moss stitch can be one of those that's a little tricky to keep track of. So you're going to do 26 rows of each colour. So each block of colour in my blanket is 26 rows. So you're going to repeat row 2 now, doing 26 rows of all of those 5 colours. I'm just very quickly going to show you how to change colour. So when you get to the point where you've done your 26 rows and you're ready to change to your next yarn, when you do your final double crochet of the round, don't complete it. So when you've got to the point where you've got 2 loops left on your hook, grab your new yarn and pull it through those last 2 loops. You'll then do a chain 1, and that's not going to count as a stitch. And you're going to tie your 2 ends together like so. So you'll tie your 2 loose ends together, and at this point you'll chain 2 and turn and carry on working exactly as we were before. So that is it for this part. So you're going to carry on doing your 26 rows of each of your 5 colours, and then I will meet you once you have done that, and we will crack on with the border rows. Okie dokie, so once you have completed the main body of your blanket, you'll complete your final double crochet. You'll then chain 1, and you'll either need to snip off, and then you can just pull that yarn through and tighten up. So obviously I've only done a really small swatch here, but you can see your edges should stay perfectly straight using the pattern. They should be perfectly straight and even. Take a moment now to weave in your ends if you want to. I haven't done a very neat job of doing my ends. Obviously it's only for the sake of the tutorial. So there we go. So we're at the point now where we are going to start our border rounds. So there are 6 rounds in total for the border. So round 1, we are basically just going to be doing moss stitch, but in the round this time. So we're going to attach the white using a standing double crochet into the top right corner chain 2 space. So it'll be the last row that you've just completed that you're going to work into. And you grab your white and start with a slip knot on your hook. And so it says to start in the chain 2 corner space. So you've got your first double crochet here. So this space next to it is your chain 2 space. So you'll insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, and then yarn over, pull through both, which is your standing double crochet. We're then going to create the corner space with a chain 2 and then a double crochet back into that same chain space. So that is the first part of your border instructions. You're then going to chain 1, skip 1 double crochet and double crochet into the next, all the way across to your next corner space. So just as before, you'll chain 1, skip the double crochet and work a double into your chain 1 space. So you're literally just doing the moss stitch again all the way across the top of your work. Chain 1, double crochet in the chain 1 space. So if you work that all the way along to your next corner, and then we will do the corner, and I will show you how to work along the sides as well, so that you get your stitches evenly placed. Okay, so at the end of the row you will have a double crochet, because we always finished our rows with a double crochet. So in that double crochet you will create your new corner. So you will do double crochet, chain 2, and back in that same space you'll do another double crochet. So that's your new corner space. Chain 1, and then let's just knit back to the pattern. So for working along the side, you will chain 1 and double crochet into the side of the next double crochet, chain 1, and then skip one side. So we've chained 1, so we're going to skip. So you can see we've got double crochets or chain 2s on each of these rows at the end. So we're going to skip this first row here because we've done a chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet into the side of the next row. So you should be able to get 2 loops. Yarn over and complete your double. Chain 1, so you'll skip the next row and then again work a double into the next one along, chain 1, skip 1, work the next one, and you'll do that all the way along. So you're going to skip a row and then work a double into the edge of the next row. Chain 1, and that will give you a really nice and neat finish for your work. So you can see that should give you a good placement all the way down. So when you get to your next corner space again, you'll do the exact same thing. So in this corner, it's a bit funny now because we're on the foundation row. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and again back into the corner space there you'll do another double crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to skip across. We're working upside down now really, so we're going to skip the base of the double crochet where we've worked into here and work into the skipped space. Chain 1, skip the base of the double and work into the empty chain space. And again, you should be able to just work that all the way along. And that's exactly what it says in the pattern as well, by the way. Just working along the bottom, skip the base of the double crochet. So you'll work that all the way around now. You should be able to continue that. And I will meet you as you get to your final space in a minute. So again, corner space, you'll do a double, chain 2, back in that same space, another double, chain 1. And then again, you're working back up the side, so you'll skip the side of this first one and work into the side of the next, all the way up to where we started from. And that way you'll have an even number of stitches as well on both sides, which is always what we want. So there we go, I'm ready now to finish off. So I've done my final double, chain 1, and I'm going to finish with a slip stitch to the top of that standing double crochet where we started. So yarn over and pull through both. And that is your first round of border completed. Obviously it looks a bit much on this little tiny swatch. So now we're going to do 3 more rounds. So round 2, 3 and 4 is just the exact same thing all the way around for the moss stitch. So you're going to slip stitch to your corner chain 2 space. So we've slip stitched into our chain 2 space. You're going to chain 3, and that's going to count as your first double crochet and your chain 2 for your corner space. And then back in that same space you'll do another double crochet. Chain 1, skip the double crochet and work a double, chain 1, skip, and you're just going to work that all the way around again, remembering to do your corner space as follows. So let me just get across the top of, across the top of this one. So obviously you don't need to work in the sides of stitches anymore because you've already got a base of moss stitch to work into. So chain 1 and then you're at your corner space. So your corner space you'll do a double, a chain 2 and a double all in that same space. Chain 1, skip the double and work again all the way along into your chain 1 spaces. So super duper simple. So you're going to do 3 rounds of that. So you'll have 1, which was your first round where we were setting it all up, and then you'll have 3 additional rounds of this moss stitch. So I'm obviously not going to show you every single round of moss stitch because you don't need to see that. Once you've done 1, you're good to go. So rounds 2, 3 and 4. And I will meet you back in just a second to finish off this round. So as you get back towards the beginning, you remember we did the chain 3. So the first chain counts as your double, and then the other 2 chains are your chain corner space. So you want to work slip stitch just into that first chain. And then that is your round complete. So complete that another 2 times with your white. And then you want to swap. I don't have the Buttercup shade here to show you, but you'll literally do round 5. So it says here, round 5, attach your Buttercup shade with a standing double crochet into your corner chain 2 space and complete 1 more round of moss stitch, which is exactly the same as rounds 2 to 4. So you'd snip off your white, and then in your corner space here you would do your standing double with your Buttercup shade and complete that all the way around with the moss stitch. But I am now going to jump straight into our final round for the border. So it says to continue with your Buttercup shade and slip stitch into your corner space, and it says do a modified forward crab stitch. So I'll demonstrate it to you now what a modified crab stitch is. So let me just slip stitch to my corner space. So normally a crab stitch is worked backwards and it's called a crab stitch or a reverse double or reverse single crochet, but we're going to modify it slightly. So I'm just going to do a chain 1, and what you want to do then is insert your hook back into your corner space, yarn over and pull up, and then this is the bit you might need to watch closely. You're going to rotate your hook around 360 degrees anti-clockwise. So we're going to spin it round like that. So you've still got your 2 loops on your hook. So I'll just show you that one more time. So you'll yarn over and pull up. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way of the camera for this bit. And then you'll twist your hook all the way around. There we go. And then you've still got your 2 loops there, and you'll yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So that is your first one done. It doesn't really look like very much just at the minute. So because we're in the corner space, we're not chaining 2 this time for between every single modified forward crab stitch. We're only going to chain 1 even in the corner spaces, but we are now going to go back into that corner space. So yarn over and pull up. Again, you'll have your 2 loops, and you'll rotate your hook all the way around and yarn over and pull through both. Chain 1, and we're going to skip the double crochet, and we're going to do the forward crab stitch into the chain 1 space, so yarn over and pull up, do your little twist, yarn over, pull through both, chain 1, skip the double crochet and another one in the chain 1 space, so yarn over and pull up, twist and yarn over, pull through both, chain 1, I'll show you one more time, insert your hook, pull your yarn up, do your twist, yarn over, pull through both. So you'll work that all the way around. Like I say, even in the corner space you'll do 2 of your modified crab stitches, but you will only put 1 chain in between them instead of 2. So it might take a little bit of getting used to, and try not to do them too tight, otherwise you will really struggle to get your yarn through when you have to chain through them like that. So you can continue that all the way around now, doing your little twists, and it just gives, I mean, it's hard to tell really because I'm not using a contrasting yarn, I've just done it all in white for the border, but it gives a lovely finish. It's a little bit easier than doing the crab stitch as well if you're not fond of working backwards. So always remember to do your 2 modified crab stitches in your corner space, and yeah, you can see that now working all the way along, gives a really nice texture as well. Let me just grab this one so you can see properly. So there you go, it gives a lovely texture finish as well, but it keeps it really neat. I think it ties in with the rest of the blanket really nicely. It's simple, it's beautiful, and it just finishes it off really well. So you should be able to carry that on now all the way around, and you'll see at the very end of the pattern it just says you want to slip stitch to your starting one that you did, chain 1 and tie off and weave in your final ends. And it says just remember to refer to this tutorial if you're having any problems with the stitches. But that is it for the Spring Meadow baby blanket. I really hope that you've enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see them, and do use the hashtag Spring Meadow Blanket if you do make one on Instagram, and tag me as well. But that's it for this one, and I will see you for another one very, very soon. Bye for now.